Buenos días, muchísimas gracias. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias a los organizadores.
Thank you very much to the organizers of the event for inviting us to this seminar. I am Cristina Garrido. I am a national contact point of Cluster 5, Climate, Energy and Mobility, in particular for the part devoted to energy. And this is what my presentation is going to be about. I think all the participants are familiar with the structure of the new program of Horizon Europe for the year 21 to 27. In this pillar number 2, we find all the usual programs of the framework programs, but now the Commission has organized them with a new word. They're using now the word cluster. We have clusters that correspond to one single program, such as cluster 1, which is devoted to health, but some other clusters like 4, 5, and 6, they put together different programs. In Horizon 2020, they used to be separate programs, but now they have been put together. So energy, in our case, is a part of Cluster 5, together with climate and mobility. So these three topics, they used to be separate, and now the Commission deals with them all together in one single cluster. What does that mean? That means that the document where the calls for tenders are, the work program, is one single document for cluster 5. We're talking about a document which is 500 pages long. So it would be good to become familiar with the document in order to be able to find the topic that each one of you might be interested in. As I was telling you, within the cluster, we find the topics divided into different destinations. In cluster 5, we have 6 destinations, which correspond to the next topics. Destination 1 is the destination devoted to climate. Destination 2 is about sectoral solutions. This includes topics such as climate, energy, and mobility. 3 and 4 are focused on energy, and destinations 5 and 6 are the destinations that deal with transport. So my presentation about energy, we will find the topics in destinations 2, 3, and 4. Below the destinations, we have the topics organized in areas, and these are the areas that are in destinations 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to focus mostly, I have marked in red the areas that we deal with in CDTI. From the energy program, on the one hand, we have the area of cities and communities of destination 2. On the other hand, we have the breakthrough technologies from destination 2, and also all the areas of destination 3 and 4, which are renewable energies, energy systems, grid and storage, carbon capture, utilization and storage. And in destination 2, we have 2 areas which are energy efficiency in buildings and energy efficiency in the industry. All the cluster has a budget of 15,000 million euros, and for the 2 first years, a budget of 3,000 million euros. The distribution of this budget, more than half of it goes to energy, so it's the program with the biggest budget. 9% is for climate and 29% is for transport. Besides the opportunities we find in the work program of Cluster 5, in relation to energy, we have the following partnerships. In Horizon Europe, we have the Commission has classified the partnerships in 3 types: institutional partnerships, co-programmed partnerships, which also existed in the past, and co-funded partnerships, which are also existed in the past. The co-programmed partnerships, We don't need to say anything else about it because the topics of the goals of these partnerships are in the work program. So in this case, we have two. One is the partnership built for people. It's got a new name, but it used to exist in previous framework programs. It was energy efficient building. Now there's a new co-program partnership, which is the one to do with batteries, and the topics of these partnerships are all in destination 2 as an institutional partnership, the joint technology initiatives. We have one regarding energy, the one related to hydrogen. Now it's called Clean Hydrogen Europe. This partnership, we'll tell you more about it now. And of the two co-funded partnerships, we will speak a bit more now. The co-funded partnerships are established between the European Commission and the financing agencies of the different countries. So the financing that is provided to the participants is provided by the financing agency of your country, and to that money there is a top up that comes from Horizon Europe. In the Spanish case, these partnerships, the financing agencies would be CDTI, who would finance the companies, and the state research agency would finance the research centers. It is also possible that in one of these two partnerships in the Clean Energy Transition Partnership, there could be other regional financing agencies from some regions such as Cantabria, Asturias, or the Basque Country. In any case, these partnerships are now being created and they have not presented the calls yet. The first calls for these partnerships would be in the year 2022. Maybe the first calls would be published before the summer. About the partnerships that are outside Cluster 5, I'll say a bit more. The Clean Hydrogen Europe partnership that exists since the 7th framework program, and it's been increasing its budget. Now it's going to have around 1,000 million euros, 1 billion euros budget. Besides the strategic research and innovation agenda, the documents that we need to know is the multi-year work program and the yearly work program, annual work program, which is where we get the topics. They are all being produced right now, and the first call for this partnership will be at the end of February next year. In any case, these documents that are now being drafted, they establish thematic content that would finance the following topics. They are organized in 3 pillars: the pillar of renewable hydrogen production, the pillar of distribution and storage of hydrogen, and the pillar of final end uses of hydrogen. We have pre-innovative research, security, education, and so on, topics of life cycle sustainability analysis, hydrogen valleys, and hydrogen supply chains. This partnership is formed by a specific sector, in this case, the sector of hydrogen, and the European Commission. They constitute a new entity which is called joint undertaking. For those who have hydrogen as a strategic topic, they must consider joining this industrial group, which is formed between the partnership and the Commission, who are the ones that establish what is going to be financed with the money of the partnership. In case of this GTI, Hydrogen Europe is the group that represents the industry, and Hydrogen Europe Research represents the research centers. So the main advantage is participating in the creation of the annual work plans following the strategic planning, which was elaborated in the MAWPs. The date of the first call is still to be determined, and this partnership had the same conditions of participation as Horizon Europe. However, the calls could include additional eligibility criteria. These two other partnerships that are not public in the work program Cluster 5, but they have their own calls. These are the Toku funded partnerships. One of them is driving urban transitions, which is organized around 3 pillars. The partnership concept, some topics would fit this partnership, and the calls that this partnership publish. This would include topics such as positive energy districts and neighborhoods, also circular transitions and greener neighborhoods, and also other issues related to mobility in the pillar of 15 minutes cities. The other co-funded partnership is the Clean Energy Transition Partnership, which includes all the topics that are included in the energy program, from zero emission power technologies, which are the renewable energies, also storage technologies, renewable fuels, technologies for the capture, use, and storage of CO2, and also efficient zero-emission heating and cooling solutions. And there's a series of topics related to energy systems and the grids, and also a challenge related to buildings. The other element before moving on to the cluster calls are the missions. The mission areas have already been mentioned in another presentation. This is one of the novelties of Horizon Europe. These are defined as a portfolio of multidisciplinary actions with very inspiring goals. They want to set goals with which are quantified, focused, aimed at citizens. 5 areas of emissions: climate change, cancer, soil and food, and oceans. And the one that we're interested in, that is cities which are neutral, and we want to reach 100 climate neutral cities by 2030, by and for the citizens. Missions are an element, a different element from Horizon Europe program. In this case, the Commission has created a board for each one of the missions with experts they have selected. It's 15 people for each board that in a way define the mission. And in this case, this mission has a person, a Spanish person in the board, Julio Lumbreras from the Polytechnic University of Madrid. Here you can access the report of the mission board and concerning the work program with the topics and the activities of research and development that would be financed. This is being prepared right now, and it is foreseen for the end of 2021. The possible topics are topics related to urban mobility, public transport, urban planning and design, and also with districts that are energy positive. We're going to move on to the calls for this work program of Cluster 5 related to energy. This work program includes many topics and many calls, 12 different dates for the calls, a total of 1.5 billion euros, with which we want to finance 220 projects. Many topics, many opportunities. How are these topics distributed? Energy is in destination 2, 3, and 4 with the different areas we have already mentioned. Here we see the different topics and the budget of each one of the areas For the 2 years, we're talking about 90 topics, which is a great amount of topics. But as you see, these topics are concentrated in 3 of the areas, mostly in renewable energies with 44 topics, energy systems, grids and storage with 17 topics, buildings with 14 topics, and the other areas, breakthrough technologies, carbon capture and utilization and storage, and industry have a much smaller number of topics. This is the calendar of calls. These are organized by destination. So the codes correspond to the year, the destination, to the order number of each one of the calls. Some of these calls have already closed in October, so we will focus on the ones that are still open for the year 2022. Here you can see the calls, the closing, the deadlines, which destination the call corresponds to, and the number of topics of each one of the areas. If you have renewable topics, energy systems, or topics related to capture and storage of CO2. I'm also leaving you with a list. We won't get into these lists too deeply, but I would like you to have the whole list of all the topics of every destination. This follows a path through the destinations, which are classified by areas. First, renewable area. Here you see a small graph with the distribution of the budget among the different technologies. In renewables, as you see, photovoltaic and wind energy have the greatest budget. And on the other hand, if you put together biofuel, bioenergy and renewable energies and everything to do with fuel is also a big part of the investment. In any case, the list of topics that I'm leaving you with now, which is organized, trying to group the different topics. For example, here we see 3 topics that are related to ocean technologies, with the waves, with the energy of sea currents, and with 3 different colors because they belong to different calls. So in these slides, the topics that have the same color are topics that are in the same call. Also in the table, you see if it's a research and innovation action, an innovation action, or a coordination and support action. The estimated budget for each one of the project and each one of the topics, and also the total budget of the topic. In this one, for example, for project of 3.5 million, a total budget of 10 million euros. So the expected number of grants is around 3 projects. This list belongs to the area of renewables. So they have been classified, trying to put together. Here we have all the ones that are related to fuel, all the ones that have to do wind energy, 5 of wind energy, 8 of photovoltaic energy, topics of cogeneration of heat, hydraulic, systems with no connection to the grid, and we're going to get into them when we analyze the calls. For destination 3, energy systems, grids, and storage, we're also going to leave you with this list. And we're going to leave you with the same color codes, same code, same call. And we have tried to group the topics according to trying to group the topics by themes. Now we're going to, in this area of carbon capture, utilization, and storage, only 3 topics in it. In destination 3, We have cross-cutting issues, support to the activities of the European Geological Services, and another one in Destination 4, we have all the topics are organized by areas. First, the area of buildings, which has two sub-areas, one of energy efficiency and one that has to do with the topics of the partnership built for people, and then the area of energy efficiency in the industry that only has 4 topics. Now we're going to move on to the final part of the presentation, and we're going to have a look at the calls for 2022. We're going to follow a brief path for the year 2022. We're talking about around 64 topics and 6 different deadlines. With 64 topics, we can't get into detail with all of them, but at least we want you to be familiar with them and mention them very briefly. You have the information in the presentation. Before getting into the topics, I wanted to mention something else. And when we prepare a proposal for Horizon Europe, we have to use a template from the Commission. We need to write a proposal in the second section related to impact. They ask us to say how our project contributes to the expected outcomes and the expected impacts. The expected impacts are not included in the topic. You have to look for them in each destination in the introduction of the destination. In the introduction of destination 3, you can find the expected impact of destination 3, which are the ones we're presenting here. And then for each one of the areas, renewables, energy systems, and so on, we have some expected impacts that are specific. In this case, we have the expected impacts of destination 3, renewables, energies. And here we have the topics that are related to ocean energies, wave energies, in real sea conditions. And then another one about foundations, floating substructures, and connection systems for ocean energy devices, and also photovoltaic, floating photovoltaic projects. And another one about rotors, blades, and control systems for tidal energy devices. In the photovoltaic part, we have a big number of topics. One to do with novel tandem technologies, looking for a greater efficiency and a low-cost efficiency with materials that are abundant on the earth. And then we have topics related to semiconductors of perovskite that provide greater efficiency in the connection. We have another topic here, which is related to the pilot lines for innovative photovoltaic technologies. In each topic, you have which type of instrument it is, if it's an IA, RRA, or another. You have the budget per project, the total budget, and the TRL, which is expected at the end of the project for each one of the topics. The one to do with floating photovoltaic.
Also, advanced manufacturing of integrated PV, that is photovoltaics embedded in other components with a different goal beyond generating electricity. They can be part of facades, roofings, structures like soundproofing walls, or even in cars and in agriculture. Also related with agrophotovoltaics, the use of photovoltaics in rural areas, agricultural areas to produce electricity and for crops. Also in the field of Aeolian energy. Here, a topic focusing on the physics and hydrodynamics, and also topics focusing on wind energy in the natural and social environments to generate that energy. Also, floating wind energy for deep waters, and another topic focusing on innovative materials, recycling, and the use of critical raw materials. Also, biofuels, there are 10 topics here with different colors because there are different calls for them. This topic on hybrid catalytic conversion of renewable energy to carbon neutral fuels. There's also a topic focusing on carbon negative sustainable biofuel production. Also, on the use of biogenic residues and wastes for the cogeneration of heat and electricity in large scale. Another topic on the production of biomethane. One focusing on existing industrial plants used to produce biofuel, a new one to produce renewable energy vectors from working together with the reduction of carbon emissions in energy intensive industries. Also, one focusing on the value chains of non-biological biofuels, and there are also topics focusing on cogeneration of CHP systems, cogeneration of heat and electricity. In this case, microsystems of biomass integrated with other renewables in hybrid heating systems, and also large-scale CHP technologies that we just mentioned. Geothermal, there are topics focusing on more sustainable geothermal energy and more circular energy, and also to see how to demonstrate the use of high temperature geothermal reservoirs to provide energy storage for the energy system. Also topics on hydropower, both on hydropower equipment to be exploited, on also concentrated solar power. There are two topics: new approaches or novel approaches to concentrated solar power, which provide performance which at least equal the performance of current installations. And there are other topics which are not specific to any renewable technologies, but common to all of them. Some related with educational aspects, market entry, cooperation with Africa in terms of energy, water, and food. Another one on the next generation of renewable technologies, and a new one on the management and storage of renewables in off-grid applications. Also, digital solutions for defining synergies in international renewable energy value chains. A new one on renewable energy carrier production for heating from renewable energies. Solar fuel technologies. There's this topic which establishes interfaces between solar fuel technologies and other renewables, and also one focusing on renewables in the chemical industry, as well as a topic for renewables for the agroforestry and agricultural sectors. We move to the energy systems, grids, and storage area. Here, in the introduction of the destination, we see the impacts that projects and topics submitted must present in terms of the sector integration of gas networks, electricity networks, long-term storage and mobility systems. The idea is to integrate these systems more or less, and flexibility from system based on data Also, the two topics on reliability and resilience, measure for vulnerabilities, failures, risk, and privacies to prevent failures, and also same thing about the technologies and based on continuous current. Energy transformations, several topics focusing on superconducting systems and pipelines, power technologies, demonstrator of these AC technologies. What would be the change in the architecture and topology of the energy system? Also, there are topics focusing on digitalization, data, and interoperability. This one focuses on improving the digitalization of focal points. There's another one focusing on the intelligent devices, interconnected devices that allow to use flexibility, uses planning of the system, the role of consumers as prosumers and energy communities, and also another one on the energy system modeling and planning tools. Cooperation with Africa, there's a topic focusing on energy system modeling with African countries. And the last three topics focus on storing. As we've seen, batteries are in destination 2, also distributed energy storage. A new one with new innovative forms of storage, chemical, electrical, thermal, mechanic storage, all kinds of storage, and one focusing on thermal energy storage. This one in destination 3 for carbon capture, utilization, and storage. Here we see the expected impacts of these topics. As for topics, we have one focusing on the integration of these technologies to capture CO2 in industrial hubs, decarbonization of the industry with these technologies, among others. Two cross-cutting elements, one topic focusing on European geological services and support to technological platforms, and the set plan area. This is the strategic energy technology plan. And then destination 4, which had two areas, one focusing on the expected impacts of the destination, and then expected impacts on the building areas to improve energy efficiency, and also build for people partnership. As for the topics, energy efficiency in 2022, one focusing on the demand response in energy efficient residential buildings. Second one related with energy positive homes, which are renewable intensive, and a new one that tries to increase the intelligence of buildings, to have smarter buildings for better energy performance. From the Build for People partnerships, we see the impacts and the topics are these. Specifically in 2022, there is one focusing on solutions for buildings with performance guarantees, a new one of holistic renovation packages integrating renewables and recycled materials, and a new one to support the new European Bauhaus initiative from the European Commission. Maybe you have heard about this initiative. It includes elements of sustainability, inclusion, and also aesthetics when creating the surroundings and environment of the buildings. And also, the last area of the destination 4 is industry. This focuses on the management of thermal energy at an industrial level. There are not many topics, as you know. topics related with industry are part of a different cluster, cluster 4. Here we have just a few related with energy. Specifically in 2022, there's a topic to for temperature raising technologies in the heating heat upgrade technologies, and a new one focusing on the storage at high temperature for industrial applications. To conclude, you can see the information on the screen about some seminars that the Commission has been organizing throughout 2021. They have explained with a lot of detail all the new elements of Horizon Europe, all the rules to participate. In every link, there's a recording of a video and presentation. There's also much more information at the info day that we organized for Cluster 5, and the info day organized by the Commission, and the brokerage event organized in July. This event is finalized, but you can find all the information of the different entities that participated. Here you can see our email, Luis Arrevilla and myself, and just for you to be aware of the existence of the Horizon Europe Spanish portal. Here you can receive information about any event. You can follow us in our social media. You see the RSS channels here. You can enter this website, and you can see all the Horizon Europe programs. If you are interested in the field of energy, for instance, you can subscribe to the Cluster 5 channel and the energy channel, just to ensure that you do not miss any of the information that we provide. And how can I join this? Well, you have to press on the channel of interest for you, and you have to copy the link to that channel to the RSS news readers that you use, and then you add that link as a source to be subscribed to their RSS channel. There's a link here that shows how to use this system. And as a conclusion, in the Cluster 5, we will find topics focusing on energy on destinations 3, 4, and 2. The calls in the field of energy can be found in the work program of Cluster 5. And on the GTI for hydrogen, in the calls from the two co-funds, like the Clean Energy One, in this case, financing is provided by financing agencies from each countries, and then there's also the work program of the Citizen Mission, which has not been published yet. The one that has been published is the work program of Cluster 5, published in June. Here you can see all the calls and all the topic we've been talking about. That's everything I wanted to say. Thank you very much.